Sometimes I wonder if there'll ever be a true dialogue, and the whole gender thing in our ethnic community is important. Everything hinges on that, trying to reforge what was torn asunder and whatnot, which is one of the reasons I believe that men have to just take back the whole community, wholesale, just have to take it back. And the cooperation of female counterparts will not be required and shit. We'll change things. They'll have to fall in line and shit at some point. I know how it sounds. It makes some women mad and shit, but considering you've been the stewards of the community for over 50 years, if not, infinitely longer, dating back to chattel slavery, this is a lot needs to be done. A lot needs to be fixed. You've raised a lot of guys that aren't ready for prime time. I'm just tired of it. You raise a lot of guys with, hyper emotional behavior, overtly aggressive. They can't get anything done. They're man children and shit. They can't do the most basic things. And nobody's shitting on you for that. It's not easy raising a kid by yourself, but you have to go back to that original choice you made. You didn't really think about it and shit. You were, you made your choices based on your own personal criteria. A lot of that shit, if you turn it on its head and invert it and shit, it's the same things you complain about when somebody supposedly objectifies you for the way you look or, some other attributes and shit. You do the same fucking thing. But you know, because of the condition of a community and its social, ethnic, social makeup and shit, it's economy and everything, which a lot of women earn it outdistancing the man earning, but not keeping the money in the community. It's a shit show down here, you know. That's where you get the whole, the whole thing about a lot of black women being the right hand of white supremacy and shit, intentionally or not. You consistently talk about your achievements, educationally and, economically, and compared to you compete with your own counterparts. You don't seek to make anything better and shit. Everything you do for the most part is self-serving and shit. Everything's self-serving. Nothing comes back to the community. You guys are the head of the spear on the hole, in the tub and shit. Pulling the plug out of our communities. We can't build no black Wall Streets with this kind of mindset and shit. And the guys have been miseducated by a lot of you. So, I guess you guys are supposed to be the smart ones and shit, and we're like the dummies, But you made the dummies, and then you sit up and complain about what you made. You're like, what's wrong with him? Why can't he do what I want him to do? Why can't he just follow through? Because you didn't know what you was doing. A woman cannot raise a man. A fully functioning man. A woman can't do that because they've never been a man. Okay? Yeah, I think it's, just oxymoron and shit whenever you hear any female from any station like talking about somebody not being masculine and everything. How could she ever know what masculinity is and shit if she's never been a man? She's never had testosterone run through her body. She doesn't know what that does to a little boy and shit when it starts, his little balls drop and shit and he start getting that testosterone, his voice changing, gets all these feelings. They can only relate to it on some base physical level. But you go through a change, like when a woman goes through their change, they get their first period and everything. It's similar, okay? And you might find this egregious because you guys, had the ability to create life in your bodies and shit. You can't do that without the other guy. You can't do that without a seed and shit, okay? And if you're taking substandard seed, you make it substandard people and shit, all right? And this is based on a woman's right to choose and all that bullshit. I don't have a dog in a fight with Roe versus Wade. I don't have a dog in a fight. Formerly, I believed in a woman's right to choose. That belief hasn't changed and whatnot. I just like them to make better choices where they wouldn't be in that situation. I've seen people that had abortions before. I don't want to get into my own personal stories, but every female that I've seen had an abortion has gone through a psychological drubbing, has been scarred mentally from that experience. I've seen women in her 30s having it to a woman in her mid-20s having abortion and shit, And, it's just shitty, when the white man split up our families, and destroyed the families, and they brought the welfare in and everything, the housing projects and all the programs that you could access if you didn't have a man in the house. And a lot of you made that choice willingly. You didn't know what you were buying and shit, but they were social engineering you. They were in the beginning stages, the proto stages of creating what we have today, this embarrassing fucking situation where a lot of the women have a 304 mindset. It's not the grandma and the mama and all that shit, it goes back to the biblical days of Adam and Eve and shit. Eve was supposedly made to be Adam's missing piece. It was actually made from Adam's rib and shit. But she's supposed to be his companion in life, and they're supposed to build things and, have a family. There's supposed to be two halves that become a whole and shit. Adam was first. Obviously, Adam was first. I don't know who wrote the Bible or whatever. Considering we live in a oppressive society and that's made up its own, mythology and shit, and they call it history and shit, and, stupidly trying to bury their own history under another name. We don't know what was what, nor do we care. We know that men are essential to society. They do the heavy lifting. There can't be no denying of this. They do a lot of shit, But the women, they've proclaimed themselves as the mind, and the soul and the shit. But everything they do is based on raw emotion and how they feel and everything. And this makes chaos in the house that they rule over with no man in it. All right, when they're young and everything, it has not been pressed upon them to make really good choices with their body and shit. And I'm not talking about somebody sleeping around. I'm talking about who you have a baby with, who you procreate with. The same women that refuse to take accountability for the bad choices they make, they also refuse to take accountability for the multitude of contraceptives available out there to prevent, those bad choices from becoming permanent. Yet they blame men. They say that men make black men specifically, excuse my word salad, black men specifically make single mothers. And that's impossible and shit without committing a crime. All right? You act like somebody just grabbed you. A lot of these females, they're talking like somebody just grabs them and impregnates them and shit. It's fucking ridiculous. You have so many forms of, contraceptive, available. You have all these social services and these programs, up to and including the, free clinics and all that bullshit. Yet you don't avail yourself of that or make any really good choices, and it's left our community bereft of, people. The quality of some of the people walking around are really fucked up. You got normal people, you got high functioning people who don't see themselves as a part of that community. And then you have the shit that is cannon fodder, which is what we see mostly on the news. They take the outsiders, our oppressors. They take the worst of us and put it in front of a camera as an example and shit. It's all part of that same social engineering experiment that has worked to a T, I guess you can see the graphic I'm using, for this commentary. I just wanted to, I thought to make this because I thought about the black woman that helped infect all the men, that the Tuskegee experiments or whatever. And then she had monuments and all this shit, and it was talked of highly. And she had done such a horrible thing that she should have been killed. She should have been murdered, okay? She should have been destroyed. Her name should be snatched down and whatnot. They always talk about her problematic history and all that bullshit. That's through a white man's outlet, like Wikipedia and some other shit. But when you think about what she did, it was so horrible to do that to her own people. She willingly helped infect, hundreds of men with syphilis so they could just see what happened. Right? She, in her mind, if you think about it, as a medical professional, she went against her Hippocratic oath. And she also had to have a mindset that these black men were lesser. Hence the graphic that I have here. What poisoned this woman's mind with white supremacy? What poisoned the black woman's mind with white supremacy? What poisons the black woman's mind today? It's just that infantile type of mindset and shit. It's all based on like tangibles and having a good time and going out to parties and draping your body in the finest of, things and, having everything, the most updated shit, a nice car and a house and all that bullshit, but no substance. There's nothing. They're not thinking to build anything in families or generational wealth whatsoever unless it goes to another woman. They only pass on their bad decisions and their mindset to their daughters, and their sons are left out there bereft, you know. They have to figure their own way on the street, and when they're on the street, they meet other guys that went through what they went through, that crucible and shit of that single mother household and shit, you know, without a dad, you know. Oh, it's just fucked up. Hence the graphic, you know. The graphic plain and simply denotes that a good majority of black women are the right hand of white supremacy. I was prompted to make this drawing, to make this art, after I had watched that some people had live streamed a man's funeral and just to mock him. Okay, the man was his funeral was being live streamed, and this female was, she was, live streaming it on her channel just to make fun of the man, her and her followers, her horrific followers. You know, I went and looked her up, and she was a sex worker. Not a very good one, a very ugly one. I have to just say it, she was ugly. She looks like shit. And then she had like a bunch of gaslighting shit on there that she wanted to have other women in a group with her, that she feels like, dark-skinned black women. She wanted them to be in a group with her so that she wouldn't feel alone in the world for her bad decisions she made. And it just prompted me to make this this drawing. Okay, I don't mean no shit here. I will never bend the knee to a shitty, misandrous woman. I can never do that. I can't do it. I respect good women and all that bullshit. I respect it for real. I grew up in a matriarchal home. Right? I grew up in that shit. And because I grew up in that shit and I know what the deal is, and I know that a lot of women aren't even aware of that they're doing some of these egregious things, it just comes second nature. Just overt hatred of your male counterpart and shit, somebody you're in a racial, ethnic group with, It's just saddening, it's maddening and everything. And, after looking at this woman doing this shit and a lot of others, a bunch of other people, I feel resolved to continue making the content that I do. That being said, it's been a ramble. You can leave your comments in the comment section. If, some guys out there want to subscribe, it's pretty good. Or give me a thumbs up. It's pretty cool. Talk to you later.